In this video, we're going to take a look at using EL with beans and in expression values on our pages. So we're going to kind of put everything together, and we're going to see a few improvements as we go, and we're going to notice that there's also a couple things we still have yet to learn because we're going to be just a bit shy of where we're trying to get to. So for this lesson, what we'll want to do is get EL with beans and values.war file, which is going to include all the code you'll see today, and we can use that to go over the system. So with that, once it's loaded, what we can see is that we have all of our DB stuff again. We have our models in place, and we have a few servlets with this one. One for getting all the countries, one for logging in the user, and one for signing out the user. And then we have a bunch of different pages, one to clear some sessions and cookies, our error handler, footer, header, index, list cities, list countries, a login page, the nav bar, and a show all countries page, which will be our ultimate destination once we want to see the countries. So let's just start taking a look at the code here and see some of the things that we're going to be using that we've learned. So here's our index page, and we can see right away that on our index, we have a couple things going on. We're going to say right away, welcome to the World Manager system. And then we're going to check a session to see if the authorized user is set. And if not, we'll have to go to the login and tell them that they can go to the login here. Otherwise, we'll let them know that they're welcome back. Now what we can see right away here is that we're using some EL. And we're using a bean object because we're going to actually load in a web user bean, which is going to be really nice. We know that we can automatically count on that bean being set because the authorized user is not null. So hopefully the user ID won't be null. But if it was, the nice thing about EL is we'll see that even if something is null, EL will just print out a friendly nothing. So it doesn't bomb like an expression would or like a check for a session would. So that's one nice handy thing about using the EL. But also you can see you can just chain right to the property that you want, and it's the same property you would use if you were doing the use bean, where it's the remove the get, lowercase the first letter, and you're back to the property name. So that's some EL to put a value in place right out of a bean. So once we go to login, what we'll do is have the user log in. Of course, they have the same old examples as before with username and password, an option to remember and save as a cookie. And then they have the submit, and down here we're going to have a hidden field as well that we can use to redirect for destination. So if someone says go to the login page, but I want them to return to my page, when we're done, that will be a hidden parameter that we'll pass on through the login into whatever request that we take it to. And so here you can also see another EL. We can access the cookie directly, which we've seen. The cookies gives us access to the direct cookie and again the value. And once again, if these aren't set, EL is very nice and friendly and it does not cause an error. It simply just ignores it and we continue on with a blank text field, exactly like we would hope. So it's a little bit nicer there as well. So our list cities is not going to change too much. We have to change a little bit about it in the fact that with list cities, we were using the session attributes for user ID and password. Now we're going to use a bean where we're getting that authorized user and we can directly access that just like we could if we were in a servlet code using code. So that's the only thing that's changed here. Along with, if we try to log in, we want to return to list cities once we're done logging in. And we have our welcome back message as well on the top of the page. And then our code is pretty much the same as well to go ahead and get everything. And this is still in violation of MVC because we don't want logic code in our pages. So that brings us to showing the countries. So if the user wants to list the countries, what we're going to do is go ahead and just forward them on to a servlet so that we can do some controller code behind the scenes. Then we'll use the controller to actually control the responses and redirects and things to go to the pages we want to. So if we look at Get All Countries servlet, what we end up seeing here is not too much different than what we would expect. We're going to request the session, and we're going to then check to see if the authorized user attribute is null. And if that attribute is null, then we'll go ahead and redirect to the login.jsp and bring them back to list countries, which will ultimately bring them back here. But the way I have coded this, it tags on a .jsp, so it has to go to the JSP first. But then it'll bring us back here, and then the attribute will be set for the authorized user. Then we'll go to the servlet context, get the DB manager right out of the attribute, just like we did on the JSP page. That will give us the ability then to connect to the DB, and we'll build an array list of country. And we'll call the get countries by name query. So here our logic has now been separated out of the page and into a controller, which is what we want. Our query stuff is actually even separated into a nice model or a nice user helper class at least. So we're in really good shape now. And our country information is populated and added into that array list. We'll put the array list right into session. And again, we could put this on the request as well and use beans if we wanted to. But we're going to put it into session and then we'll pull that once we get to the show all countries page. So that will take us to the Show All Countries page. And here what we'll see is that we can go ahead and use the stuff we've learned, but unfortunately, we still don't know how to loop. So that will be something we'll be learning soon. But for now, what we'll do is just use Java code to loop. And so we'll pull in the array list of countries from the session, and we'll ultimately just build our table out and list out those countries. So our page is still doing just a little bit more than we want here with Java code. And what we're going to actually get to in the future is we'll get rid of all the scripting, and that will take care of this. We'll learn how to do some looping soon. But for now, this is a lot better than what we were looking at with the cities, in that all we're doing is spitting out the information that's already been built by the controllers and the models. So it's a very nice, closer look to MVC already. Let's go ahead and just run through the code here and just watch some of this in action. So again, we'll come into our index page, and our index page will ask us to log in or tell us who we are. So let's go ahead and log in from here once, and we'll just say infinite skills and whatever password we want. Let's go ahead and remember us so that we don't have to keep typing this every time. We can see that the World Manager system welcomes us back with our username. And now, since we're logged in, we can view cities, we can view countries, and we can see that all that information is pulling and working exactly like we expect. Let's go ahead and sign out. So now we'll try once again to go to the view cities, and it requires us to log in. And again, we can do that. We'll sign out one more time, look to our countries. Again, it's requesting that we log in. We can go ahead and do that, and now we can see our countries. And it brings us back to our Show All Countries page. So that concludes our look at building the system with some EL using beans and being used in the value attributes. The really nice thing to see again is that even if we're cleared out and we go to our login page, our cookie EL isn't bombing. Or when we're in another page and we're hitting a parameter that was expected to be filled in by an EL and it wasn't available, we don't get the bomb that we would have gotten before.